Disclaimer.
My secret shattered and then everything went dark.
My name is Daniel Whitaker, and I am 38 years old. I died for 9 minutes on June 4, 2023 in Boise, Idaho.
And what I saw changed the way I understand. I always believed that secrets could be managed, tucked away, controlled like small embers under a blanket. But secrets do not stay quiet. They breathe. They are warm. They glow. And over time, they begin to burn. My name is Daniel Whitaker. And before everything fell apart, my home had already changed into a place where silence carried weight. It was a Tuesday morning, early summer, sunlight slipping between the blinds with that soft Idaho glow. My wife, Emily, moved quietly around the kitchen, her footsteps gentle, her presence warm, but her eyes searching. She had begun watching me differently, subtle glances, lingering hesitations, pauses that seemed to hold questions she did not know how to ask. I sat at the breakfast table, pretending to scroll through emails. In reality, I was deleting messages, wiping away a trail I prayed she would never see. My phone felt heavier every day, like an object alive with accusation. I held it too tightly, too protectively, and each time Emily walked behind me, a silent tremor ran through my chest. "Did you sleep well?" she asked softly. Her voice was tender, but I heard suspicion inside it. Or maybe it was my guilt echoing. I slept fine," I whispered, forcing a calm smile that felt brittle on my face. She nodded slowly, studying me. I looked away. Our marriage had once been easy. Laughter, road trips, spontaneous late-night conversations. But now, the way she placed her coffee cup on the counter carried tension. The way she breathed near me felt like a reminder of the promises I had fractured. Every space between us was filled with something unsaid. Emily was not angry. She was hurt, confused, silently unraveling. And I could feel her unraveling because I was the one pulling the threads. I kept telling myself the affair was temporary, that it was emotional escape, not betrayal. That lie became my daily comfort, my quiet poison. Every morning, I woke with guilt lodged somewhere between my ribs, and every night, I fell asleep pretending it was not killing me. I lived two lives. In one, I was the devoted husband, gentle, attentive, calm. In the other, I was someone I barely recognized, someone who waited for messages from another woman, someone who lied with practiced ease, someone who had forgotten the sound of his own integrity. My phone vibrated on the table, just one small vibration. But it hit me like a cold blade against the spine. I flipped the screen down immediately, almost knocking over my coffee. My breath caught. My chest tightened. My heart thudded in a way that threatened to betray me. Emily paused mid-step. Her eyes narrowed just slightly. "You okay?" she asked. "I am fine." Too fast. Too sharp. Her gaze held mine for a moment, long enough for a silent truth to pass between us. But she did not push. She turned back to her cup, stirring slowly, thoughtfully, as if trying to make sense of something she could not name. I watched her back as a painful realization settled over me. She deserved better. She deserved truth. She deserved a man who did not carry another woman's voice inside his heart. But at that moment, I did not know how to escape what I had created. Every day felt like walking on a tightrope stretched between two realities. My wife on one side, my sin on the other, and beneath me, the empty consequences waiting for me to fall. The tension followed me everywhere. At work, I caught myself staring blankly at my computer while waves of guilt tightened around my chest. In the car, I rehearsed confessions I never gave. In the shower, warm water hitting my back. I felt the weight of deception more than the heat. I hated what I was doing, yet I did not stop, because part of me believed I still had time. Time to fix it. Time to hide it. Time to pretend my choices would never reach a boiling point. But guilt has a voice. A living, breathing voice that whispers louder each day. That evening, Emily and I sat on opposite ends of the couch. The distance between us, 3 feet, felt like a mile. She tried to talk to me about her day, but my responses were thin, empty, rehearsed. My mind was elsewhere, trapped in another life, with another woman, in another emotional space. Emily glanced at me with a softness that tore through me. "You seem far away lately," she whispered. I swallowed hard. My throat tightened. My hands trembled slightly. "I'm just tired," I murmured, but the truth sat in my chest like a stone. And she felt it. She leaned back into the couch slowly, her eyes reflecting a quiet ache. She sensed the distance. She sensed the shadow between us. But she still held hope that I would return to her. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for a moment, guilt pressed so hard into my lungs that it felt difficult to breathe. Yet even then, I said nothing. I kept my secrets. I kept my lies. I kept the life that was slowly choking me. And somewhere deep inside, I felt a faint, quiet trembling, a warning I refused to acknowledge, because the truth was coming, and it was closer than I realized. The night everything shifted felt strangely ordinary at first, the kind of quiet evening where you convince yourself that nothing is wrong, even though your chest feels tight and your spirit feels fractured. Emily stood at the sink rinsing dishes, warm light falling over her shoulders, her hair tucked behind one ear. I watched her from the doorway with a heaviness I could not fully name. Guilt moves like a shadow. It stands just behind you, waiting for the right moment to step into the light. My phone buzzed in my pocket. One vibration. Short, sharp, deadly. I froze. The sound was small, but in my chest, it thundered like a warning bell. Emily glanced over her shoulder. Just a glance. But it cut straight through me. I felt my pulse spike. My palms grew damp. My breath thinned into something shallow, unsteady. I turned away quickly, pretending to check the thermostat, pretending to exist somewhere that was not inside the panic rising in me. But the buzz came again. Emily dried her hands slowly and stepped toward me. Her steps were soft, but each one felt like it was landing on my ribcage. Something in her eyes, something tired, something wounded, told me she had been sensing the truth long before this moment. "Daniel," she said quietly, "can I see your phone?" My stomach dropped. The room tilted. The air thinned. Everything inside me clenched. What? What? My voice broke, too quickly, too defensively. "Because I feel like I'm losing you," she whispered, "and I do not know why." Her voice trembled, fragile as thin glass. I felt something in me crack. I looked away, then back at her, then down on my hands because facing her eyes felt impossible. "Emily, just drop it tonight, please," I murmured, my chest tightening. But she stepped closer. Not angry, just heartbroken. That message, who was it? The question hit me like a physical blow. I opened my mouth, but no words came out, only a soft, broken breath. My throat locked. My heart stumbled. Her eyes slowly filled with the realization she had feared. "Oh," she whispered, barely a sound. "Daniel, please tell me it is not what I think." Something inside me collapsed, shame, fear, guilt, all blending into a violent pressure beneath my sternum. I felt sweat bead along my spine. My vision blurred at the edges. I cannot. I tried to speak, but the sentence strangled itself. Emily stepped back like the air between us had shattered. She pressed a hand to her mouth, fighting to breathe through the shock. "You lied to me," she whispered, voice breaking. "You lied while I was trying to save us." My heart clenched so hard, I staggered forward, gripping the back of a chair to keep from falling. Heat shot through my chest, sharp, electric, terrifying. I sucked in a breath that barely made it halfway into my lungs. "Emily," I gasped. "Wait, I cannot breathe." She moved toward me in a rush, fear replacing all other emotions. "Daniel? Daniel, what is happening? Sit down, please, sit down." I tried. My knees buckled beneath me, and I crashed to the floor, my hands trembling violently as I pressed them against my chest. The room spun. Every shadow stretched. Every sound warped. My heartbeat became uneven, fast, then slow, then wrong. Emily knelt beside me, tears spilling. "Daniel, look at me. Stay with me. Please stay with me." Her voice sounded distant, like she was calling me through water. I heard my phone fall from my pocket and hit the floor with a sharp clack. The screen lit up. A name flashed across it, the name that did not belong in my marriage. Emily saw it. Her breath hitched sharply, breaking into a sob so deep it cut through the spinning haze around me. My vision darkened at the edges. My fingertips went numb. My chest felt crushed beneath invisible weight. "I am so sorry," I whispered, but the words came out as a broken exhale. My hearing thinned into a distant ringing. Emily's voice was fading, fading, fading. "Daniel, stay with me, please." Her hands pressed against my face, warm and shaking. My heartbeat stuttered. The world slowed. A heavy wave pulled me downward like gravity turning into water. The ceiling smeared into soft gray shapes. Emily's face blurred into streaks of color. My final emotion was not fear. It was the unbearable realization that the truth I tried to bury had finally surfaced, and I was leaving her with the pain of it. My last breath slipped from my lungs like a thin thread breaking, and as everything dimmed, a single thought echoed through the collapsing silence. "This is the price of the life I hid." The world went still, and I fell into the dark, not knowing what waited for me on the other side. When the darkness took me, it was not violent. It was soft, almost gentle, like sinking backward into warm water. My last memory of Emily's voice dissolved into an echo that drifted away from me, thinning out until even the echo disappeared. Then something strange happened. I became aware of my body, without being inside it. At first it felt like floating, weightless, suspended, as if gravity had released its grip. I could still sense the room in a distant, muffled way. But I was no longer lying on the floor. I hovered several feet above it. I looked down and saw myself, a lifeless version of me, eyes half open, chest unmoving, skin pale and dull. Emily shook my shoulders, crying my name. She kept saying, wake up, stay with me." But her voice sounded thick, underwater, disconnected from this strange new place where I now existed. I tried to speak. Nothing came out. I tried to reach for her. My hand passed through the air like mist. A cold realization slid into me. I was dead, not dreaming, not drifting, dead. My hearing dimmed again, and the world beneath me softened into shadows. Sound thinned, light stretched, the edges of everything blurred like wet paint. And then, something pulled me. It was not violent. It was not gentle. It was inevitable. A quiet force drew me downward, like gravity had reversed direction. I sank through the room, through the floor, through the layers of the world I knew. Darkness folded around me. Not evil, not empty, just quiet, still, deep. The descent slowed. A faint red glow appeared below me, soft, moving like molten lines under glass. The space around me solidified into something I could only describe as a realm of consequence, not punishment. I stepped forward, hesitantly. The surface beneath my feet was a molten walkway, not burning, but warm, pulsing with a glow that felt alive. Every step I took sent ripples through the glowing cracks, as if the ground responded to my presence. The air shimmered with heat, but it did not scorch. Instead, it pressed against me, heavy like regret turned into atmosphere. Distant echoes drifted through the space, soft cries, whispers of sorrow, voices that sounded like people remembering the things they wished they had done differently. Ahead of me, shadows formed shapes. They were not monsters. They were memories. My memories. Silhouettes replaying moments I tried to forget. I watched one of them, a shadow version of me, sitting in a car late at night, texting someone who was not my wife. The screen glowed on his face like a secret lighting the dark. Another shadow appeared beside it, Emily in the kitchen, wiping her eyes alone. She was crying silently while I sat in my car feeling wanted by someone else. Heat pressed harder against my chest. I swallowed, trembling. A soft clang echoed to my right. I turned. A marriage bed rested on a raised platform of black stone. Its sheets glowed slowly from within like dying embers. The frame cracked with thin streams of red light that pulsed like a heartbeat. It was not hellish. It was symbolic. It was the bed where vows were meant to be protected, now dimmed by the fractures I caused. My wedding ring suddenly warmed on my finger. I lifted my hand instinctively. The ring glowed a deep, molten red. I jerked back, startled. It did not burn me, but it pulsed with a weight I felt in my bones. The glow illuminated tiny cracks along the band, cracks that had not been there in the living world. Then I saw the chains, thin, delicate, almost like strands of light, wrapped around my wrists. They were not tight. They were not painful, but they were undeniably there, each one connected to a faint, glowing vow floating in front of me, like words written in shimmering heat. The vows trembled, then ignited gently at the edges, curling into smoky embers. I stepped back instinctively, breath shaking. "These are the things you broke." The voice came from behind me, calm, steady, resonant. It was not thunderous. It was not harsh. It felt like truth speaking with the gentleness of a father who knows the wound long before the confession. I turned slowly. A figure of light stood a short distance away. No face I could fully see. No features I could describe. Only presence, strong, peaceful, overwhelmingly holy. The air around him shifted like warm wind. My knees weakened. I felt myself trembling uncontrollably, not out of fear, but out of exposure. Standing before him felt like standing in front of the exact truth I had avoided my entire life. The figure spoke again. "You exchanged a covenant for secrecy." The words hit me softly but deeply. The glowing ring on my hand pulsed brighter. "You wounded what you promised to protect." The embers beneath the marriage bed flared, illuminating cracks that ran across the platform like exposed fault lines. Redemption begins with truth. The chains loosened slightly, not falling away, but acknowledging the message. My breath broke into uneven tremors. I felt everything inside me unravel. Lust, lies, manipulation, pride, all rising to the surface like smoke pushed upward by heat. The memories around me shifted. I saw myself laughing with a woman I had the affair with, carefree, thoughtless, selfish. Then another memory. Emily folding laundry alone, staring at our wedding photo with pain quietly blooming across her face. More shadows gathered. Each replay was a different version of me choosing myself over covenant, choosing desire over integrity, choosing comfort over truth. The walkway under my feet vibrated with a soft, mournful hum, as if the ground itself recognized the weight of what I had done. One chain tightened, not harshly but firmly around my wrist. I gasped at the sensation. Consequences, the voice said, not torture, consequences that reveal the truth of your choices. My heart sank. My spirit trembled. The glowing vows flared brighter, illuminating the entire realm around me in shifting red and gold light. I felt myself standing on the edge of something greater, something deeper, something I was not yet prepared to face. And then the entire realm shifted. Heat softened. Shadows bent inward. A light, faint but rising, broke through the molten cracks beneath my feet. I felt something inside my chest respond. Something releasing. Something loosening. Something awakening. And just as the light reached my eyes, a new revelation surged toward me. What I saw next broke me in a way I never expected. The light rising beneath the molten walkway grew brighter, slow, steady, almost like dawn pushing itself through the cracks of a broken world. I shielded my eyes, but the illumination did not burn. It was exposed. It was revealed. It reached into places inside me I had avoided for years. The shadows of my memories twisted in the glow, shifting into something sharper, more honest. The silhouettes became clearer, no longer distant scenes, but living, breathing reflections of who I had been. One memory stepped forward. It was me, sitting on the edge of my bed late at night. My phone lit my face with a pale, guilty blue. I typed a message with trembling fingers, knowing I should stop, knowing I should delete her number, knowing Emily was asleep in the next room, praying for a marriage I'd already fractured. Another memory appeared beside it. Emily sitting in her car outside the grocery store, gripping the steering wheel with both hands, breathing through a quiet panic. She wiped her eyes before going inside, forcing a smile so strangers would not ask if she was all right. The walkway beneath me pulsed, as if it felt the collision of those two worlds. My chest tightened painfully. My knees weakened. My hands trembled. This was the part of me I never wanted to face. The voice behind me, gentle yet unyielding, spoke again. You believe the lie that what is hidden does not matter. A burning scroll floated before me, its edges glowing like sunset fire. Words written on it flickered in and out, moments, choices, betrayals, all captured in a spiritual record I never imagined existed. I reached toward it instinctively, and the scroll opened itself. The first line was a date. The day the affair began. My breath hitched. Seeing it written felt like watching a crime scene in my own creation. The next lines, short phrases, each one a truth I had buried. Emotional manipulation, secret affection, desire over covenant, lies told to maintain control. Moments that weakened the vow. My pulse hammered in my ears. I could barely breathe. A thin chain lifted on its own, floating upward from my wrist. It tightened, not painfully, but firmly, like a hand gripping mine with truth. You shaped your identity around deception, the voice said softly. The glowing ring on my finger flashed red. An overwhelming sense of exposure washed over me. Raw, humiliating, and yet clarifying. For the first time in my life, I saw myself without excuses, without defense, without the comfortable lies I had used to build a false version of myself. I saw the man I had become, and I hated him. I never wanted to hurt her. I whispered, but the words cracked like dry clay. The present stepped closer, not threatening, but honest. You wanted comfort more than covenant. The words landed inside me like a tremor. No, you wanted attention more than truth. My breath stalled. That is not. You wanted to be needed more than you wanted to be faithful. The walkway beneath me responded with a soft quake, red light surging through the cracks like a heartbeat. I collapsed to my knees. All the excuses I had relied on for months crumbled like ash. All the justifications I whispered to myself dissolved in a single moment of divine clarity. The shadows around me shifted again, forming new scenes, small ones this time. Moments that seemed insignificant at the time, but now felt like the slow decay of my character. Emily walking out of the room because I ignored her again. Emily reaching for my hand at church, and me pulling away. Emily asking if we were okay, and me lying with a practiced smile. Emily crying in the shower where she thought I could not hear her. Each scene hit like a wave, and then the woman from the affair appeared as a faint silhouette. Nothing detailed, nothing sensual, just a shadow with a soft glow around it. She was not being judged. She was not condemned. She was simply part of the truth. The presence spoke again. You built a second life, and you expected the first one to survive the damage. Heat pressed against my back, as if the realm itself had drawn closer to hear the verdict. I stared at the glowing marriage bed in the distance, its ember-lit sheets splitting wider with each revelation. The cracks beneath it glowed brighter, as though exposing the fractures in my soul. The presence moved beside me, and the atmosphere shifted, not colder, but clearer. I felt something lifting from the ground, rising slowly between us. It was my wedding vow, not on paper, not in sound, but written in light. Each line burned with significance I had forgotten. Each word trembled with authority I had ignored. Ido, I promise, in faithfulness, in truth. As I read the words, I felt something break inside me, something small and stubborn that had kept me running from truth. I was wrong, I whispered, voice shaking. I was so wrong. The light around the vow grew brighter. I broke what you gave me. The ring on my finger dimmed slightly, acknowledging confession. I hurt the woman who trusted me. The walkway pulse softened. I became someone I cannot even look at. The chains loosened again, but the presence, still calm, still unmoving, spoke with gentle firmness. Awareness is the beginning, not the end. The realm trembled lightly, as if shifting toward a new phase. The molten cracks dimmed just a little. The embers under the marriage bed softened. A cool current of light swept through the space. Something was changing. I lifted my head slowly, eyes burning, heart trembling, soul open in a way it had never been. And then the atmosphere split with a soft, rising clarity. A moment of truth that felt like the final unveiling before judgment or mercy. What unfolded next felt like the entire realm holding its breath. And I knew I was about to be shown the deepest revelation of all. The moment the revelation broke open around me, the realm shifted. The molten cracks beneath my feet cooled into dim red lines, like the last glow of a dying fire. The embers under the marriage bed softened from burning orange to a quiet, pulsing gold. The chains around my wrists slipped loose, but did not fall. They hovered, waiting. The presence stepped back, giving me space. Not distance, space. Like a father allowing a son to breathe after truth has done its necessary work. Then a soft pressure, warm and bright, pushed through my chest. I gasped at the sensation, even though I had no lungs in this place. The light grew stronger, filling the realm. And then everything folded inward. The walkway dissolved. The shadows vanished. The vow of light dimmed into a thin beam, and a sudden force pulled me upward. It was not a violent yank. It was not a gentle lift. It was urgent, like someone who refused to let me stay where I did not belong. My spirit shot upward through darkness, through warmth, through layers of silence. The sensation was unreal, like rising through water but never breaking the surface. Then, a sharp jolt, a violent pull, a painful snap back into gravity. My body slammed into sensation. Cold, weight, pressure, noise. Everything hit at once. I gasped violently. My chest convulsed like someone had punched the air back into me. My eyes flew open to blinding white hospital lights. A siren-like ringing filled my ears. My vision blurred, then sharpened into frantic shapes. Hands pressed against my chest. Nurses shouting orders. A defibrillator pulled back. A heart monitor spiking into wild, desperate peaks. His pulse is back. Keep him steady. I sucked in air like I had been drowning. My entire body shook with uncontrollable tremors as cold rushed through my veins. I turned my head, searching for something familiar, something real, something grounding. Emily. She stood near the doorway, hands pressed to her mouth, tears streaking down her face. Her entire body trembled as she stared at me, like she was afraid to come closer, afraid I would disappear again if she blinked. When our eyes met, her knees gave out, and she caught herself on the doorframe, sobbing my name. Daniel! Daniel, oh my God! I tried to speak, but a thick tube filled my throat. My hands jerked upward instinctively, nurses pressing them gently down. No, breathe. You're back. Just breathe. Back. The word echoed inside me like a bell ringing through a hollow space. I lay there shaking, half from the physical shock, half from the spiritual truth still burning in my chest. The afterlife had not faded like a dream. It sat inside me with terrifying clarity. Every vow, every chain, every memory, every word spoken by the presence. Emily moved closer after the nurses stepped aside. She touched my hand carefully, like she expected it to vanish under her fingers. I looked at her, truly looked at her, and the weight of every sin rose like a tide behind my ribs. Tears blurred my vision. I wanted to speak. I wanted to apologize. I wanted to confess. But all I could do was stare at her with eyes that held everything I had seen. Everything I could no longer hide. Her hand trembled over mine. She whispered, "You came back. Daniel, you came back." A single tear rolled down my cheek. I squeezed her hand weakly. It was the only confession I could give in that moment. The monitors beeped steadily. Nurses moved quietly around the room. Emily held my hand like she was afraid to let go. And inside me, something profound shifted. The fear I once had of being exposed was gone. The lies I used to protect myself felt like poison in my mouth. The affair no longer felt tempting. It felt grotesque, wrong, empty, a stain I could never defend again. The truth had burned through me, and there was no going back. As I lay in that hospital bed, breathing air I almost never breathed again, I understood exactly what I had been given. Not just life, not just time, not just another chance. I had been given the weight of truth and the responsibility to walk in it. My marriage would never be the same. I would never be the same. The man who died on the living room floor was not the man opening his eyes now. I had returned, but I had left a version of myself behind. And the work of rebuilding everything I broke, starting with the woman holding my hand, was about to begin. The hospital room quieted after the nurses left. Machines hummed softly beside me. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly overhead. Emily sat beside my bed, still holding my hand, her thumb moving slowly across my knuckles in small, trembling circles. She was not angry anymore. She was terrified, terrified of losing me, terrified of what she already suspected, terrified of the truth she knew was coming. I swallowed hard. My throat was raw, but the tube had been removed. Every breath felt shaky, like my lungs were learning how to live again. Emily, my voice cracked. I need to talk to you. Her breath hitched, and her eyes filled instantly. She already knew. Not the details, not the timeline, but the truth behind it all, the betrayal she felt in her bones. She looked at me with the kind of pain people recognize in their own lives. The pain of being chosen second. The pain of sleeping beside someone whose heart was drifting. The pain of feeling not enough when it was never their fault. Her lips parted. Is there someone else? I did not lie. I could not. Not after everything I saw. I nodded slowly. Shame pushed down on my chest like a physical weight. Her hand slipped from mine, and she pressed both palms against her forehead, breathing deeply as her world cracked open. She tried to speak, but the words came out broken. How long? Months, I whispered. She flinched like I had struck her. Tears ran down her cheeks, silent, steady, devastating. She stood up, walked to the window, and pressed her hand against the glass as if she needed something solid to hold on to. Her shoulders shook. I prayed for you, she whispered. I prayed for us. I thought I was failing you. I thought I was the reason you were distant. I shut my eyes, the memory of the covenant hell realm rising painfully inside me. It was not you, I said softly. It was me. I lost myself. I let lies grow in places where truth should have lived. She turned, tears streaking her face, voice trembling with a pain many people have lived through. Why was she enough and I was not? The question stabbed through me. Emily, you were always enough. I was the one who was broken. I was the one who chased what made me feel strong when I was weak inside. Her eyes softened just slightly, just enough to show she was still human, still hurting, still searching for something to hold on to. Do you still want her? She asked quietly. No, I answered without hesitation. What I saw, what God showed me, it broke everything inside me that ever wanted that life. She looked at me again, this time searching, evaluating, trying to see if I was speaking from fear or from truth. What did you see? She whispered. I swallowed, remembering the molten walkway, the burning vows, the red-hot wedding ring that pulsed with consequence. I saw what my choices did, I whispered, not in anger, not in punishment, but in truth. I saw the fracture I caused in our covenant. I saw the weight of my lies. I saw what my life would have become if I continued. And my voice shook. And I saw how much I hurt you, even when you said nothing. She covered her mouth, tears falling harder, not from betrayal anymore, but from finally hearing what she needed all along. The truth. Minutes passed. Pain hung in the air like fog. Then, quietly, almost reluctantly, she sat beside me again. I did not know what to do, she said. I did not know how to trust you. I nodded, tears streaming. You should not trust me yet, I said softly. Trust is rebuilt, not requested. She closed her eyes as another tear slipped down. What do you want, Daniel? I want us, I whispered, but I want truth more. Even if the truth means we rebuild slowly. Even if it means you need space. Even if it means counseling, accountability, confession, whatever it takes, I will do it. She breathed deeply. People in real marriages breathe like that. When the world breaks, and they're trying to decide if they can pick up the pieces. And the affair? She asked. It is over, I said. Completely. I deleted the number. I will give you full access to everything. No secrets. Not anymore. She studied me. Not the words. The sincerity behind them. Then she whispered something vulnerable and painfully relatable. I want to believe you. I just do not know if I can survive another lie. I reached for her hand, gently. You will not have to, I said. Not ever again. I will prove it. Every day, silence settled around us. A heavy, trembling silence filled with wounds, hope, fear, and the smallest flicker of possibility. She leaned her forehead against mine, her breath warm, uneven. I am hurting, she whispered. I know, I whisper back. And I am staying. For the healing. For the rebuilding. For the truth. A soft sob escaped her, and she buried her face into my shoulder, crying in that raw, human way only betrayed spouses cry, the cry people across the world know too well. But she did not pull away. And I held her, not as a man protecting a lie, but as a man who had been confronted by truth and was finally choosing it. For the first time in months, maybe years, she felt me hold her with my whole heart. The problems between us were real. Infidelity, broken trust, emotional neglect, secrecy, guilt. But the solutions, though painful, were real too. Confession, transparency, counseling, rebuilding slowly, spiritual grounding, boundaries, daily truth. This was not instant healing. This was the beginning of a long road. But for the first time, I was ready to walk it, and she was willing to try. The days after the hospital felt like learning how to breathe again. Not just physically, spiritually, emotionally. Every part of my life had to be rebuilt from the ground up. Emily and I moved slowly, carefully, like two people walking across cracked glass. Our conversations were fragile, but honest. Our silences were heavy, but shared. For the first time in months, maybe years, truth stood between us. Not lies, not secrets, not fear. My first step was confession. Real confession. Not selective honesty. Not half-truth. Everything. We sat on a couch, the same couch where I had once pretended everything was fine. My hand shook as I spoke. Emily cried, then listened, then cried again. Her hurt was deep, but her willingness to hear me was deeper. But confession was only the beginning. The days brought challenges that every broken marriage understands. Nights where Emily woke up crying, wondering what she lacked. Moments when a phone vibration made her flinch. Times she stared at me, and I could see the question in her eyes. Can I trust you again? There were setbacks, tension, silence that felt like walls. Moments where she pulled back. Moments where I broke down, realizing how much pain I caused. But we faced each moment together. We found a counselor. Someone experienced in marital trauma and covenant restoration. I sat there with every lie stripped from me, every defense shattered, every excuse gone. Emily spoke her anger, her confusion, her hurt, her fear of being fooled again. I listened, not to defend myself, to understand the damage I caused. Healing did not come quickly. There were days we took 2 steps forward and 1 step back. Days where Emily questioned everything. Days where I felt like giving up on myself because of the weight of my past. But each time we broke, we rebuilt. Slowly, carefully, honestly. Small things changed first. I left my phone unlocked and on the table. No passwords hidden, no secrecy. Emily had full access to everything. Messages, apps, emails. Not because she demanded it, because I needed accountability more than she needed reassurance. We prayed together at night, sometimes in silence, sometimes through tears. I returned to church with a heart that had been stripped down to truth. I joined a men's accountability group. No pretending, no ego, no eating. Every step felt like reclaiming a part of my soul. But the biggest transformation came quietly, unexpectedly, on a cold morning in December. We woke up early. Emily sat at the edge of the bed, her back to me. She stared at the window for a long time, not saying a word. The morning light washed over her, soft and pale. I sat beside her slowly, unsure if she wanted space or closeness. Without turning, she whispered, I am trying. I nodded. I know. It is hard. I know. Some days I still see the messages in my mind, still hear the doubt, still feel the hurt. My voice broke. I am so sorry, Emily. She finally turned to face me, her eyes wet but calm. I never needed you to be perfect, she said softly. I needed you to be honest. I needed you to choose me. I needed you to protect us. Her words pierced me and healed me at the same time. So choose me now, she whispered. Every day, in the small things, in the hard things, in the moments no one sees. I reached for her hand, slowly, humbly, reverently. I will, I said. I choose you now. I choose us now. I choose truth now. She leaned her forehead against mine. A quiet moment, a fragile one, but real. And in that moment, I felt something loosen inside me. The last chain, the covenant I nearly destroyed, became the covenant I now fought to protect. Not with words, but with daily choices. In the months that followed, our marriage did not return to what it was. It became something new, something stronger, something purified through truth. I saw Emily laugh again, really laugh. I saw her eyes soften when she looked at me. I saw hope growing where wounds had once lived. And I began to love her not from convenience or routine, but from covenant. The afterlife did not haunt me. It guided me. It corrected me. It awakened me. And it taught me one final truth. When God reveals the cost of your choices, He also reveals the path to redemption. You just have to walk it. If you're listening now, if your marriage feels strained, distant, damaged, if you're hiding something, if secrets are eating at your conscience the way they once ate at mine, hear this. Every hidden choice becomes a consequence. Every lie becomes a crack in your covenant. Every secret becomes a weight on your soul. But truth brings healing. Truth brings restoration. Truth brings life. Do not wait until your soul stands exposed. Do not wait until your breath slips away. Do not wait until it is almost too late. Choose truth now. Choose covenant now. Choose the person who chose you. And if this story touched you, share it with someone who needs it. Leave a comment. Your story may help someone else heal. Subscribe if you want more testimonies like this. And turn on notifications so you do not miss the next one. Thank you for listening. And may truth guide you home.